Hi everyone, and welcome to The Well-Educated Artist. Today we are going to be making patchwork pumpkins. These are great for the holidays, from Halloween all the way to Thanksgiving and onward. You can make these great little acrylic skin pumpkins, but we're going to do them in the patchwork style. And this is really great for those skins that you have, you know, the ones they look kind of like puke, your old Christmas skins, your old pour painting skins that didn't come out looking that great. Well, you can cut them up and you can make a patchwork pumpkin. You may not have seen my video last year on how to cover pumpkins with acrylic skins. It's a little bit different. It was my first attempt at covering a pumpkin, and here is that exact pumpkin from 12 months ago. It actually preserved my pumpkin by covering it with acrylic skins, and it is now hollow. It dried from the inside out, and I will probably forever have this pumpkin. So if you didn't see that video and you thought that was a crazy idea, and it may have been, it's a great way to preserve your pumpkins year after year. Now, you don't have to use a real pumpkin. This one is. It's a pie pumpkin, and an organic one. Why I bought an organic pie pumpkin for this, I don't know. I guess I thought maybe I'd make a pie with it after I coated it with skins. I have no clue. But I've had some people ask me, can you use the fake pumpkins? The plastic ones, the foam ones are popular. Sure. Any kind of crafting pumpkin, you can do this with. And it may even be better because they're not irregular. Even though this is a pretty nice pumpkin, it's pretty uniform. And I chose it because of that. What we're going to need to do is, let me move my acrylic skin pumpkin off, is we're going to need to measure. So tape your measuring tape and go across the widest part of the pumpkin. And I'm going to be using the inch tape for this. Measure it in whatever you need to measure it with, and it's about 17 inches. So I want some overlaps, actually a little over 17, about 17 and a half. So I'm going to make about an 18-inch diameter pumpkin. Okay, so I need about at least 18 inches so that I have overlap. Now, I wish I could say you can just cut out a big circle, you can take your pencil and go around with the string. Unfortunately, I have learned through trial and error that you're going to need a shape that looks sort of like this. This is my template, but it looks like the petal of a flower. Why is it shaped this way? Well, that's because a pumpkin is smaller at the top and smaller at the bottom. It tapers. Most pumpkins do, not all will, and you'll have to account for that. But this pumpkin tapers. And if you look at the natural way the pumpkin is, it almost looks like a flower petal. And that's what I looked at to get the shape that I was going to need to do my patchwork. So these patchworks are almost going to be in the shape of a petal. So you'll need to figure out how many petals that you're going to need, or depending on the size that you want, either fatter or smaller, you can just cut them out, try to dry fit them, and figure them out that way. That's the first time I did it. That's exactly what I did. You may not be able to see this really well, but if you're working with an 18-inch pumpkin or so, then you have to think about how many petals of the flower you're going to have for your pumpkin. So one about this size will hold about 8 petals in an arrangement that sort of looks like this. So you're going to need to cut the template. In this case, this particular template is right at about 10 inches actually in length. Now, how does that relate to your pumpkin? To get that number, you're going to need to measure from the stem of your pumpkin to the base of your pumpkin. Now, I have made mine bigger than that, so you'll need at least whatever you measured. So if you measured 8.5, you'll probably need about 9 inches just to be on the safe side. Mine are a little bit large, I know that, but I'm willing to trim them around my stem, so it's not a big deal. Okay, but you can measure from here to here to get the size of the petal, essentially, that you're going to need, and do a tapered petal. This one you can see probably about every 2 inches, but you'll need to make sure you have enough and that you've spaced them evenly. So it's a little bit tricky, but hey, it's not fun if it's not tricky. Okay, from here I just sketch out a template here about 2 inches wide. It tapers on each end about 9 inches. To 10 inches long, and I make several of these so that I can make sure that they fit all the way around my pumpkin. Now, what I like to do is lay all of my petals out. Once I know about how many that I need, I can put them in a shape, and it really does look like a flower. And I can stick my pumpkin right in the middle of it, and I can dry fit it all the way around my pumpkin. A lot of times I will even tape those up. I won't do that right now, but if you tape them up, you can kind of see, is it going to fit? Because who wants to go to all the trouble of doing this project and it not fit? So if you do that, you can see they're a little bit large on this pumpkin. That's fine. You realize that you have enough and you're good to go. So what you do next is, once you've made a template, and you don't have to go through all of this, but I like to do it to show you how I figured out what I was going to need for my pumpkin. So once you have your templates, which I have right here, then I'm just going to use a skin. I think I'm just going to use this skin. Now this skin is one that I used on another project. It has a shiny side. I've used diamond glaze on the side, which has protected the skin because I was using it. I think I used it to make a flower pot with. But I can go ahead and turn it over on the wrong side. I'm actually going to turn it this way. And just draw on the back of my skin, the side I'm not going to use, with a pen or a pencil. Okay, I can't draw straight. And make my petal. And then I'll just go ahead and take my scissors and cut my patchwork piece, in this case my petal, out. They're pretty easy to cut, and there you go. There you have your petal. Now, you'll probably need 8 of these, depending on the size of them, maybe more if you want them smaller, maybe less if you want them bigger. So I'm just going to go ahead and lay my petals out with the side that I want facing down. So this is what you have if they're the right side up. Now I need to flip them all backwards because I'm going to need to pull them in this direction. Not so pretty from this direction, but we're good. Just so you get the idea. Now that I have my design, I'm just going to pick them all back up in the order that I want them and just stack them over to the side. Now pumpkins will rot over time, and not all of them will be like my Franken pumpkin buddy over here. So what I'm going to do, just to keep some of the rot to a minimum, is to go ahead and clean it with alcohol. This is 90% alcohol, and I'm just going to clean my buddy off first. And also, if he has any wax or anything on him, then this will clean it out. I don't know if they put wax on pumpkins, especially organic ones, but I just want to make sure that it's clean and that there's nothing growing on the outside, and this will keep mold on the outside to the minimum. Okay, so once your pumpkin has had a good spray with alcohol, and you don't have to do this if you don't want to, it's just, for me, a precautionary measure, then I'm going to begin to place these. Now, if I place my first one like this, you have several options that you can use to place your skins. I'm probably just going to be using my diamond glaze. I have the big old refill. I'm just going to use that. I'm just going to put some on, and I'm probably just going to paint this on with an old brush. You don't have to paint it on, but I think I'm going to. If you've seen my other videos, you know I like to use diamond glaze. Now you can use your finger. Maybe I will just use my finger, but feel free to use a brush. I am not a big fan of cleaning brushes, so I'm just going to use my finger and move this out of the way so you can see the mess I'm making. I like to always embrace my inner kid and finger paint. I'm wearing gloves, but feel free, you do not have to do that. So I'm just going to take it and I'm going to lay it onto my pumpkin, paying attention to the bottom and bringing it all the way up. And I can cut it up here, but right now I'm just going to get it down. this is the reason why you can't just take a circle and do this, because you have to smooth it down as you go and get out all of the wrinkles. It is not really hard to do, but it does take a sec. Okay, that is the first of 8. Okay, so I have gotten all of my skins on there, and let me give you a tip. Do not use the varnished skins. They are much harder to put on. Okay, so I'm going to need to trim these. So let me go ahead and do that right now. I'm going to go ahead and trim around where I have a stem. Okay, so now that they're trimmed down, at least partially, I can just take my glue and use a popsicle stick, and I can just make sure that that is completely up and around my stem. Okay, I'm gonna let this dry, and then I'm going to finish it up. Okay, once your pumpkin is dry, you can varnish it before we go on and do a little more decorating here. So I'm just going to take my diamond glaze for this, actually, and this time I am going to use a paintbrush to do this, and I am going to have to paint this little by little. Diamond glaze is a water-based dimensional adhesive, and it will definitely make and protect your skins. Some of these already had diamond glaze on them. That made it much more harder to work with because it makes them stiffer and they don't like to mold as well. So I'm just going to quickly paint this one so that it can have time to dry, and then I will come back and show you how to embellish it. So my pumpkin is now dry and shiny. Pretty cool, and you could just leave it like this, but I'm not going to. I am going to go ahead and paint my stem up here, and I'm just going to use gold. I am using PBO's Rich Iridescent Gold, which you can use. There's lots of golds out there. I may add some more, but this one I'm going to go ahead and do this first. Okay, that's the first thing that I'm going to go ahead and do with my whimsical patchwork pumpkin. The next thing I'm going to do is add some gold leaf where my skins connect on my pumpkin, just to give it that extra little bit of flash and flare. So what I'm going to do is use some glue. This one's Cosmic Shimmer Flake and Glitter Glue, but it stays tacky and will allow you to do your gold leafing. So that's the next thing I'm going to do. This takes a little bit of time to dry, so I'm going to go ahead and get started on that now. Okay, so I am back without my gloves because this is really, really sticky. My glue has become tacky, and I'm going to be able to add my foil. I'm going to use for this foil some that is kind of an iridescent and kind of funky here. You can get all kinds of leaves these days, and this is the side you're going to want to place down onto your glue, which is super tacky. And I'm going to go ahead and do these, and I'm going to do it in lines. Some of the bottom may not be done, and I can come back and do that later because I am going to have to flip it upside down to do that. But just to show you how fun and quick this is, I'm just going to put this down. Go. So I'm going to apply my gold leaf all up and down my pumpkin. Okay, so here she is, and I will let you see the finished product. If you like this video, please like and subscribe and hit the notification bell for more videos. Thanks for watching.